In this video, we'll be walking through a way to implement sound into a system. So the way we're going to implement sound in this video is to have various parts of the system call an interface function in the central component, which controls everything. So we're going to start by looking at our MISC data folder and opening up the interface SkillTree PC component. And we're going to add a new function. I'm going to call it get sound. And we'll add it to the internal category. And let's add an output and make it a sound queue. And we'll add two more. And we'll name the first one node selected sound. Second one, node learn sound, and third one, opening sound. And we can compile and close that. Now we'll go into our components folder, open up our component, and we'll go into this interface, internal, get sound that we just created, and we will simply promote these to variables. And let's click on one, go to the category, and we'll add them to their own subcategory, SkillTree vertical bar sounds. And we can drag the other two into that subcategory. So now we have the sounds in the component and an interface which gets them. We can close this, and now we're going to call on that interface function from the various parts of the system where we need the sounds. Now, one place that we want a sound is we want a sound to play when we click on this research button here. So we'll go into our widgets folder and open up our details widget, go over to the graph, and we'll go to the event graph. And we already implemented some functionality to the on-clicked train button, and we're gonna add some more to the beginning. We won't add it to the end because we're removing the widget from the parent at the end, so it won't happen after that. So we'll create some space here, and we'll get player controller, get component by class, and we'll get the SkillTree PC component, and we'll call that get sound function, so get sound message, because it's the interface function. And this is happening when we click on the trained button. So we're gonna drag off the node learned sound, and we're gonna play sound 2D because it's a UI sound. And we can expand this, and off the pitch multiplier, we can do a random flow in range, and we can type in maybe 0.85 and 1.15. And this just gives it a slight variation in the pitch when we are training different skills. And this just reduces the redundancy and makes it more palatable. And now we can connect this and comment this, play sound, and we can close this. And now another place that we'll want sound is when the skill tree is opened. So when it first pops on the screen, we want to play a sound. And for that, we can go into the widgets and open up the SkillTree base widget here. Go into the graph. And in the event graph, we're going to look at our pre-construct and construct. We're going to make a little room here. And we want this to play right here on the construct. But we don't want it to play on the pre-construct. And the reason for that is usually you don't want to put sounds on pre-construct, because then when you're working in the editor and you compile your blueprint or something causes the blueprint to compile that's unrelated, you'll hear the sound and it'll be kind of jarring and kind of annoying, and you'll wonder why it's playing or where it's coming from. So you only want sounds in a system that play at the beginning of something to be on the construct. So in the same way as before, we're going to get the player controller, get component by class, get the SkillTree component, call that get sound message function, and we're going to drag off the opening sound this time and play sound 2D. And we're not going to do a randomness to the pitch because this isn't really a repetitive sound. It's only going to be playing once when the system opens, but you can if you want to. And we're going to connect this like this to the reroute, and then select these and collapse, and we'll name it play starting sound, drag it into the setup category, and we're all done in here. Now we have a starting sound. We can compile and close. And now the last place that we want a sound to play is when we click on a node. So to do that, in the widgets folder, we'll open up the node widget, go over to the graph, expand the node selection category, click on the node selected. So when a node is selected, we'll play the sound. So let's add that to the beginning here, and we're going to do the same thing as before. And this time we'll drag off the node selected sound, and we will vary the pitch because we could easily select a lot of nodes in sequence. Now we're all done in here, and we can compile and close that. Now if we open the child component, we see the section for the sound and can easily select and change our sound assets for fast iteration and so that different versions of our skill tree can play different sounds. Now we can actually just choose the sounds for the system. So under the skill tree pro folder, we'll create a new folder, call it sounds. And we can just import whatever sounds we want to play with down here. To import sounds, there are many sound packs on the Unreal Marketplace. There are also many free sounds that you can get online, such as here, opengameart.org. You can just click on the sound effects section, search down here, and you'll see pages and pages of sound effects. Many of them are sound effect packages, so they have like 50 sounds, and then you can just splice them and use those. And once you get them imported into your sound folder, much of the time they will be imported as sound waves. And we set up our system to play sound cues. So in order to do that, you can just right click a sound wave and go to create cue at the top, and it will create a cue that plays the identical sound. Now in our child component, we can just select which sounds we want to play for which events. And now if we fire up our system, we have sound. It's worth noting that we did not choose to load sounds from soft references, but rather we used hard references. The reason we did this is because it's a simple system with only 3 sounds, and using soft references to load sounds on demand, although it saves space, can create a noticeable delay in the sound playing, impacting the feel in a negative way. One way around this, if you wanted to do it, would be to simply load all the sounds in a system when that system is loaded and store them in an array to be accessed. So now that we've finished the sound design for our skill tree, we'll do one final look and feel touch in our next video, the ability for the camera to autofocus a node when it's selected.